So one thing that Sensei Dovidio is really experienced with and has a lot of knowledge around is body mechanics and pressure points and other terms around that I don't fully understand. He talked about meridians. I don't know what that is. But we focus some of the class on how the body moves and how we can work on being more efficient with our strikes and some of the movements that we see in the kata. And this is where it was really interesting, was seeing additional applications to parts of the kata, specifically openings or certain moves that we see all the time and we do all the time that I didn't even think about these alternate applications. As an example, the Sanshin opening, right? Here, that movement right there. Okay, so what I've seen as an example of that opening movement, because this seems kind of weird to me, that strike out right here. I don't know why I would do that. At Summerfest last year, there was a great session on that movement. We see that in Seisan. If we push and pull in like so, it could be the opening of Sanshin. But what I saw with the application there was it wasn't so much a strike this way, but open like this to stop someone's hip as someone's advancing. You can hit their hips out and break their posture, which allows you to do some interesting things like pull them, move them around. So with Sanshin, I saw that as the main use case here. Even though we went straight finger, I knew it could be a strike, but I didn't see how that would work well. In the class last night, Sensei Dovidio was talking about that very specific opening to Sanshin, and what the body has some reflexes that it has innately because we're human. When we get our arm twisted, our shoulder will release to help prevent a break and try to loosen up. When someone grabs here, we're going to pull away to try to protect ourselves on this side. When we get hit in the stomach, the body's reaction is to come forward, especially if we're not tight and in our gut and trained to take a hit. You're going to come forward a lot. So that's the application of that Sanshin strike, the opening right there. So if you strike out hard enough, right into someone's stomach, right there, you'll get the forward movement of someone reacting. Their body's going to react to that strike to the stomach right down there. And if you imagine someone down here, the next move, so in Sanshin, right, strike, and then you have a fist, and you come up here, right? So if you imagine someone just did the opening strike on Sanshin to me, into my gut, my face is down, and those fists turning up could be a strike against the face. Boom, right? So this becomes a strike in that instance. I've seen that. Sensei Dovidio was at Summerfest with in another session where he was talking about another application of this strike, right? So if someone grabs your arms, if this motion here can break a grab, right? So there's a few applications already that I've seen with just that opening. A strike to the hips, could be a strike to the gut, or assuming my hands are already out and grabbed by someone, it could be a break away from the grab. So we talked a lot about that sort of thing in class, but the other really interesting piece was how Sensei Dovidio was saying one of the most efficient and strongest movements we can make is pulling things into us. And he talked about us doing, like, pulling our hands to ourselves. We do that a lot just as a reflex. When we're scared or frightened, you know, we'll cover up and bring our arms in. If we love someone, you know, you make that motion. But in, let's see, in Seisan and other katas, we have this motion, right? This motion in a strike. Or this motion here, right? So it's this motion here pulling back into our body that's really efficient and is a very strong movement. So we practice this with grabs, where someone was grabbing your shirt, and a really interesting and pretty effective way to trap their arm and break their posture was to do your hiraken and break and do this motion, right? Kind of like that motion. This motion against their bicep and down to their arm here. And what that did when someone did that to me, so I'd grab their shirt. They'd do that. So I'd grab with my right, and with their left, they would do that strike, boom, right along here into this portion of my arm, and when they hit it, my body would come forward, because that was my body's reaction. I'd come forward. So that was pretty fascinating. And what does that do? That breaks my posture, right? It most of my weight moves to my front leg, and then that person could do all kinds of stuff just by that rake against the bicep and down to the crook of the arm, a little bit past. And there's he was saying that there's a pressure point or something here. I don't know, but I'm sure there is. I just don't understand pressure points yet. But all I know is when that part is hit, your body jerks a bit and you come forward. So leveraging that, but that's another one of those kata motions that always seemed weird. Like in two-man Seisan Bunkai, you see that the application is to someone's coming in with a grab and you strike their arms down. So before the grab actually lands, you strike their grab out of the way and then strike at their neck or their temples. This is, okay, a grab has already landed. How can you use that same motion to get the upper hand or protect yourself? So that was a really fascinating thing. There was another piece of the class that was really cool. We focused a long time on the grabs, and this is really hard to show without a second person right here, but someone has a grab. Instead of doing the rake, if someone's grabbing you with one hand, right, chances are in a fighting situation, grab you with one hand, they're going to haul off and punch you, right? They grab you to keep you motionless so they can strike you and know that you're going to be there. So when someone grabs you with one hand, they have the other hand loose, you can expect that punch is coming, and most likely it's going to be a haymaker. So what you do is you don't attack the arm that's grabbing directly. You go right for this incoming punch that's coming in as a haymaker to the head, and you block it here with two hands. So one hand here and one hand here. So you grab, so if I'm grabbed here, the punch is coming in over here. I reach my arm over their arm, and this arm comes up. So I catch their bicep here and their forearm here. And what that does is they're grabbing here. It traps their hand, especially if I do that and then I come back into Sanshin, that'll whip their bodies around. Their body reactions, they're going to be whipped around. Their hand will be stuck here. My elbow would be against their arm, against either this part of their arm or the crook, right? Or even here. And because their body doesn't want their arm to break, they will move to the side very rapidly. So they grab, it's coming in, you block here, and then you just turn into Sanshin. You keep that arm tight and trap their hand. So that was the type of stuff that we went over. There was a lot more to it than what I can show here. It's easier with two people, but fascinating. Like the motion of pulling things into your body, trapping the arm with the grabs, and showing some of the different applications to openings in kata. Very fascinating stuff.